This is probably the best episode of One Punch Man Season 3 thus far, and I would actually say it is acceptable. It's average, nothing groundbreaking that blows my mind away, but this is passable for an episode. And if we had episodes kind of similar to this and even better, I don't think the blowback of Season 3 would have been as bad. But regardless, the damage is done. And if you don't believe me, I want to show a few examples here. First off, I want to show this. So this is One Punch Man on my anime list. And yes, I know you shouldn't take my anime list seriously with its ratings and stuff like that, but it is telling. It is a good gauge to see how people are feeling about something, and I want you to look at the score. This is One Punch Man Season 1. I want you to look at the score. It is 8.48. And if you go down here and you click the second season and you load the page, you will see that Season 2 of One Punch Man is 7.54. A complete drop. Literally a whole tier drop. It went from an 8 to a 7. And then if you go to One Punch Man Season 3, it's, yeah. It's very clear that the overall opinion of Season 3 is pretty negative. Like, this rating right here is disastrous. Like, it is disastrous, especially for a series, like, if you go back to, like, Season 1, that is held as one of the best anime to ever be created in the last few decades. It is nowhere near this rating. It went from, like, near the top of popularity to basically near the bottom. The damage that this anime has done to the brand is ridiculous, and I want to show an example here that this episode did. So at the beginning of the episode, if we disregard this just like retelling and recap and all that, which I'll comment on more in a second, we get to see this nice sequence here where Garo basically starts to think about what happened to him and all that. He's getting ready. He's like, oh, I'm not bleeding anymore. And you see, like, his muscles right here power up. Like, it's a really good scene. Like, I gotta say, out of any sequence from this episode, this is the best looking sequence. But for those that don't remember, this is from the teaser trailer that we got like over a year ago, which is this. And someone pieced together the footage showcasing the teaser trailer from the actual episode we got today. The top is the original teaser, the bottom is what we got in, episode 4. And if you look closely at the overall animation and art, it's pretty much identical. The difference is they put a weird filter over the anime version. And I've been really sitting down, I've been analyzing this clip, really thinking about it, because there really isn't like that big of a difference with the design, like in terms of the art or anything. It's literally they just pasted the teaser into the scene for the episode. But I was thinking, like, why would they put the filter for this scene? Because if you look closely, okay, like, it straight up just changes to a blue filter. And if you saw this at first by itself, you might think it's okay, but when you have the direct comparison with the teaser trailer to this, you start to ask yourself, why change something that already looked really good? Nobody was complaining about the teaser trailer or how it looked, and I mean, making Garo's face look exactly bluish, it's like, why do something like that? Well, I think what this really does come down to, it might actually have something to do with the blood. And if you don't know what I mean is there is regulations in Japan. This is like TV broadcasting regulations. This isn't necessarily the studio's fault, animators, or anything like that, actually. It's nothing like that. It is the TV broadcasting stations that have, like, censorship laws for, like, certain amount of blood. That's, like, why I believe Piccolo's blood in Dragon Ball went from, like, red to, like, purple. They have to censor some blood. They have to censor it in a way to where they don't show it, depending on what time it airs. And so, in this case, when you look at Garo, you can see that in the teaser, you can see that visibly the blood here. You can see the blood and all that, it's red and everything. But then if you look at the bottom, the blood just looks like smudges or oil, whatever. It's a different color. And I feel like the blue filter in general, the way this is released, is most likely for censorship purposes for the TV broadcasting. That's my educated guess. But with that being said, though, I do want to talk about this scene, which a lot of people are also discussing heavily about One Punch Man Season 3, which was at the end of the episode, which, to be fair, this is not a bad sequence. Like, out of, like, every scene from this episode, or hell, even these previous episodes, this hands down is one of the better looking scenes. Now, I don't think that this is incredible and the most groundbreaking animation art I've ever seen, but it looks pretty good. It does. I would say that this is about average to above average level of what you would typically expect from an anime production in the 2020s. That's just my personal opinion. Don't quote me on that. That's just how I feel about it. But it's not a bad looking scene. And then the episode ends here. But the point I want to bring up is that it's about a good solid 30 seconds of really good looking footage, and then the episode comes to a close. And I'm starting to notice a pattern. If you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to noticing a pattern, I noticed that every single episode of One Punch Man Season 4 so far typically ends with some pretty good looking animation. Nothing too groundbreaking, but good enough to where people are like, yo, this is kind of cool, there's kind of some hope for this anime yet, and they'll sit down and wait for the next episode to come out, be disappointed, and then see the last few seconds, and then be excited for the next episode again. And I have seen this ongoing opinion for the last 4 weeks, where the episode is just absolute dog water, and then there's about 30 seconds to 40 seconds of good footage. That's the only thing that people talk about, and then they sit back and wait and say, like, look, see guys, it's fine, the anime's okay, let's watch the next episode. Next episode's the exact same thing, a bunch of still frames, not really that good, and then you have a few 30 seconds of good footage. You're like, yo, that 19 minutes of absolute dog water was worth it for that 1 minute of good footage. And this is, like I said, it's reoccurring. It's like people like to shovel shit in their mouth, and they're fine with eating a messed up microwave meal. I don't understand that one. But this gets into the main topic. I think episode 4, if you want my honest opinion on it, it's not a bad episode. Yes, there is a lot of still frames here. Oh yeah, it's the same problem of episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. But I do think it's better than episode 1, 2, and 3, especially with the usage of still frames. The only bad usage I saw with some of the still frames was the eating segment, where they, like, repeat some loops of animation. There's constant issues like this throughout the episode, but there is continuous repeats of this loop of animation, where they're just talking over it to kind of save time and stretch out the scene where they don't have to animate anymore. This is typical tactics you see in a lot of anime, but it's definitely overused, especially in Season 3 of One Punch Man. But this was one of the only segments that really stood out to me that was kind of really bad. But I want to get into the recap. It's been a while since I read the manga of One Punch Man, like this segment of the manga. I want to not act like it hasn't. I don't know if there was a flashback sequence, like when Garo was waking up, and, he was like, oh, I'm alive, how am I alive? I don't remember if there was, briefly in the manga, because sometimes manga panels do that. But if there was, then ignore what I'm about to say. Completely ignore it. But if it wasn't there, this segment here with this entire recap feels like a time waster. Like, let's just take a look here. It's literally a recap, pretty much from 1 minute 50, right after the opening song, by the way, all the way up until, like, pretty much 2:30. Yeah, it's around, like, 2:30, the recap ends. So we're looking at about 40 seconds of footage, literally right at the beginning, that is a recap with nothing new. And yes, I know anime does recaps, it's a common trope, nothing wrong with that. But the point of the matter is that we're already seeing shortcuts being made constantly with the anime, with either looped animation, still frames, PNGs, different things like that. And if you're throwing in a recap on episode 4 that's just retelling the final things of the last episode, it feels like you're just using that because you're afraid of animating anything differently. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Once again, ignore this if that recap was in the manga. It's been a while. Anyways, back on to the main point. I think that looking at how the reception of Season 4 has been, or not Season 4, Season 3 has been, and Episode 4 has been, especially, the damage to the brand of One Punch Man is so bad. I have seen so many massive creators just drop it. Like, I have actually seen huge content creators, bigger than me, way bigger than me, like, I could only dream to be as big as them, dropping the series and not even wanting to talk about it anymore. Like, it's just that miserable for them. And it's the very thing I talked about months ago. Like, back in summer. Hell, even before summer. I talked about the looming disaster that was going to be this season. And here we are. And this is sad, because One Punch Man's going to be probably remembered now for going forward as, like, the new 7 deadly sins. Like, the 7 deadly frames. That's what this is going to be remembered as one frame man. 2 frame man, 3 frame man. You get the point. It's bad. It's pretty bad. It's sad. It's bad. And I hate seeing a series I love just go down this path, because now it's at the point with how much damage has been caused to it, there's no recovering. I don't think they can really recover this. I don't. Like, so I feel like anyone at the top is not even going to want to touch this project anymore. Like, I feel like Season 4 and onward is never going to get touched just because of how bad this is. That's my 2 cents on the matter. But overall, that's my thoughts on Episode 4. It's not good, but I keep it real. I just, I like the series. That's why I keep watching it. But, yeah, it's sad, man. Be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.